Hey there, can we please talk about UFC Vegas 65 took place at the weekend. Also just a quick recap of what's been going on in the world of MMA, UFC, mixed martial arts, all that kind of good stuff. So we'll start off with the UFC Vegas 65 recap. Obviously the biggest news was that the main event fell out whilst the event was actually on. Derek Lewis had to go to the hospital for an undisclosed medical reason. It wasn't COVID related, wasn't weight cutting related. I think he might have eaten something, who knows. Either way, he's okay, as he would put it, because he's actually been given a clean bill of health. So hopefully they can maybe reschedule that one for not too far into the future, because I really like that matchup with Sergey Spivak. Sorry, I was thinking of Palpovich, who's actually fighting this weekend. But yeah, either way, wish them both the best. And I'd like to see that matchup. It was interesting. Danny Roberts versus Jack Della Maddalena. It was good. And Della Maddalena was very good, as I thought he would be. It went more or less as I thought it would, which is a shame for Danny Roberts. It was a tough matchup for him. It was. Hopefully we'll see him come back. But congratulations to Della Maddalena. What a fantastic performance. He's got hands of absolute concrete, that guy. And he's so good in and out, his movement, his footwork, just the way he goes to the body and the way he cuts his opponent off against the cage. Because I said that would be a problem for Roberts. Roberts had to stay off the cage at all costs, and it did kind of finish with him being pushed against the cage and beaten up, quite frankly. You know what I think would be a fun matchup for Della Maddalena next? Mr. Daniel Rodriguez, step on up. They're both very good welterweights. Rodriguez is ranked just. Della Maddalena has to get that ranking. He needs to step up in competition, which Daniel Rodriguez is. They're both decent boxers, and they're both going to be willing to stand and try. That's a fun fight at welterweight. Sign me up to that, please. Sherman, he just got a bit overwhelmed by Waldo Cortez Acosta. Acosta didn't look like a world beater by any means. He's 9-0 now though, so let's see who fights next. I think maybe a Blagoy, Ivanovic or something, or maybe an Arlovsky. Just see where he is. Arlovsky's a very good measuring stick to see where these guys are. He didn't look so impressive against Sherman, if I'm totally honest. I expected a bit better from Sherman. Kennedy Nzechukwu rallied after a tough first round. Now, the thing is, I think some of this win has to be attributed to the fact that Kutalebra's fight IQ, it's just not the best, is it? I mean, because round one, Kutalebra looked great. Here, look, inside leg kick, going in, overhand right, come in, and then he throws another big overhand right, clips him. He wobbles him there. And then he goes in and goes for this single leg takedown to a body lock and basically just lets him recover for a good few minutes. And got to the end of the round. It was a very good round from Kutalebra. I'm not saying it wasn't. He looked really, really dangerous, as he does often in the first round. But then he allowed him to come back and get this finish. Look at that knee, lovely. He just puts him up against the face. He's already on wobbly legs. Really, Keith Peterson should have stepped in probably a little earlier than that, but because there was no way he was getting up. So yeah, great win for Nzechukwu. Sorry, yeah, Nzechukwu. I struggle saying it. I don't know why. It's not that hard. Nzechukwu. Anyway, I'm wondering who he takes on next. I mean, really, I'd like Dominic Reyes to catch a break, but if Reyes wants to keep fighting, he's going to have to fight somebody. This guy's an up-and-comer. Oh, that's a tough matchup, though, because he's so long and rangy and he throws with good power. Yeah, but Reyes would be a good fight if he needs a name in his cap. And, yeah, so I just want to say thank you for those that are watching. If you could please like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I'd really appreciate it. It makes a massive difference. Hit the bell notification if you want to see when the videos arrive. I do 2 of these a week and just loads of content. I'm prolific, if nothing else. So, yeah. Then we'll move on to the news that I care about in 60 seconds. Hold on, when I sort my watch out. Yeah. So, the news I care about in 60 seconds. Derek Lewis is absolutely fine, guys. He had a bit of a bug, and he's now absolutely fine. So hopefully they'll reschedule Spivak versus Lewis in the not too distant future, because that's a fun matchup and I'd like to see it still. Rumours about some sick fights coming up in Cardiff. They're on about doing Jorge Masvidal against Colby Covington. No. Jorge Masvidal against Gilbert Burns. Covington against Khamzat. And then obviously the main event, Usman versus Leon Edwards. Tremendous. If that happens, I'm going to Cardiff. Wilder's trainer says that on his best day he can beat Fury, which is quite frankly crazy. The poster for Fury versus Chisora, never say never. That's hilarious. And the Jets losing the most Jets way possible. 2 yards of offense in the second half. Come on, man. That is trash. And that is about 60 seconds. So, and then, yeah, so in other news, you've got obviously Alex Pereira, who has just captured the middleweight title. You've got Khamzat Chimaev. He keeps posting about December 10th that he's already agreed. I've already agreed the date. Come on, come and fight on December 10th. It's like, dude, right? Alex Pereira has been suspended from training for 30 days. So after that time is elapsed, like Joe, there's not even enough time for that to elapse before your so-called court. So stop trying to make out that he's being a pussy by not accepting your December 10th fight date, because in reality that's just not one he's never going to accept. And why should he? Why should Alex Pereira, the newly crowned champ, the man who just beat the long-time champion Israel Adesanya in a very tough fight? Johnny, it wasn't all. Johnny, it was a very competitive fight. And let's make no mistake about it, Israel Adesanya is one of the absolute best in the world. So in order to beat him, that's a real accomplishment. To then call out that guy and say, hey, look, you're a coward if you don't accept this, like, December 10th fight. It's like, why should he? Why should he take a short fight camp, have to just cut all that weight again, just so that he can go against a grappler? Because that's one thing, like, Khamzat Chimaev might be a horrible matchup for Pereira because, I mean, his grappling is zero. Well, it's not zero, but I mean, Adesanya had a good time wrestling against him. I've got to feel like Khamzat Chimaev would have a field day against him. But you just don't. But on the feet, like, Pereira is a problem for anybody. Khamzat included. Khamzat got kind of exposed on the feet against Gilbert Burns. Could you imagine what Pereira would do to him if Pereira was to keep the fight standing? If Khamzat was to get lulled into a kickboxing match with Pereira? I don't think that goes as well as he thinks. Just saying. Yeah, but I understand you've got to shoot your shot, but I would much rather see Khamzat Chimaev fight in Cardiff against Colby Covington, if I'm totally honest. Mostly because I think that would be an absolutely sick fight to have on a card that I'd be able to kind of drive down to. And yeah, also, I just want to point out, have you noticed how absolutely stacked the UFC Fight Night Orlando card is? I'm going to run through it real quickly because they have snuck this one right under the radar. Just on the Fight Pass prelims alone, you've got Darren Elkins against Jonathan Pierce. Yeah, you've got Michael Johnson against Marcus Diakiese. That's an incredible fight. Both of them are very good stand-up fighters. Like Diakiese, he actually came out and did a bit of wrestling in his last couple of fights, but Diakiese's like the bone crusher. Michael Johnson, the menace. Joe, it's just, that's a really fun fight. Joe, Michael Johnson's very, very good. And Marcus Diakiese is trying to make a name for himself. And that's a name. That's a very, very interesting fight in the lightweight division right there. Clay Guida against Scott Holtzman. That's a hilarious... Because the thing is, Clay Guida, yeah, he's old as shit when it comes to fighting, but he's still going and he's still winning. His style of just relentless pressure seems to work for him. But let's see if Scott Holtzman can withstand that pressure. Angela Hill against Emily Ducote. That's just a fun fight. It's going to be a fun, competitive matchup. Nico Price, it's always fun to see Nico Price. Haven't done my research on Phil Rowe yet, but I'm sure he's good as well. If his haircut's anything to go by, he's brilliant. Nico Price is just a nutcase. Eric Anders against Carl Dorcas. Carl Dorcas is the younger brother of Chris Dorcas, who's the heavyweight guy. Both those lads from Philly. Against Eric Anders, who's just this former linebacker, like an absolute stud athlete who is just getting better and better each time. Derek Brunson against Jack Hermansson. You've got the wrestler in Derek Brunson, but people forget he's a black belt. He's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu under Renzo Gracie, I believe. And then you've got Jack Hermansson, who is a good grappler in his own right, but is his grappling going to be up to the standard of Derek Brunson? Derek Brunson is going to be looking to get back into the win column. That's a very interesting fight. The winner of that fight moves within one more fight of getting a title shot, realistically, because they were both in that title contention picture not long ago. Tai Tuivasa against Sergey Pavlovich. That's a crazy heavyweight title fight. Tai Tuivasa just bites down the mouthpiece, he throws, but he's actually more technical than people give him credit for. His striking, his footwork is actually very, very good. And he holds that power as well. He's got that one-punch knockout power. Sergey Pavlovich, he tends to use like a bit more volume to overwhelm people. We saw that against Derek Lewis, but he's a surging, up-and-coming Russian like heavyweight phenom, and that's just a fun fight. It's got fun written all over it. And then you've got Matthias Nikolai against Matt Schnell. That's just going to be a very fun flyweight bout. Both these guys are kind of good at, like Matt Schnell, he's kind of good in every area. That's what he's not kind of got too many weaknesses. But that's not even the co-main event. Yeah, you've not even got to the co-main event yet. Brian Barberena against Rafael dos Anjos, RDA. That is a crazy fight because look, Barberena, he's knocked off two legends being Robbie Lawler and Matt Brown. He's looking to get another legend on his resume in Rafael dos Anjos. But Rafael dos Anjos, okay, he got knocked out by Fiziev, but before then, you looked at how he performed against Moicano. The man is not done yet. He has still got so much to bring to the table. And then the main event, Stephen Thompson against Kevin Holland. Honestly, that's a great match. I don't think it's a good matchup for Stephen Thompson. I think that actually Kevin Holland's attributes, they're kind of a problem for this. But that's still a great fight. That's going to be super fun. How did they sneak that fight card in there? God, Florida is so lucky. They need to stop taking meth and stop wrestling alligators just for that night, and just make sure they tune into that fight card. Quite frankly, I'm just kidding. I know that like Florida's a rich tapestry of people. There is a lot of meth and gators though. I'm just saying, and you don't have to take crystal meth to wrestle an alligator, but it certainly helps, and it will help. You know, I wouldn't want to wrestle an alligator if I wasn't on some sort of performance enhancing drug. Yeah, that's such a crazy good fight card. I am looking forward to that. So then, I've only got one troll of the week this week, which is pretty funny to be fair. But it's right, let me just find it. I should have really brought this up earlier, but I didn't do it, and that's my fault. And now it's not loading. Yeah, basically Hamzat Chimaev, he only wants to call you out if you have zero grappling or you are 5'6". Paulo Costa trolling Hamzat Chimaev there. I just think that is so funny. I like this new Paulo Costa that just trolls people all the time. It is pretty funny. It's pretty funny. Yeah, I'm assuming it's his account. He doesn't have a social media manager. Maybe he should, because sometimes he says some bizarre ass shit. But either way, that's all I've got time for this week. I'm going to be doing a breakdown of that incredible fight card, UFC Fight Night in Orlando. So until then, keep those odds long and those bets terrible.